pulled in here just now, creeped by real super fucking slow, honked at me, and I was leaving. This was some shit. Like, this dude just needs to leave me the fuck alone. That's the same shit that I told Natalie and her friends. Just leave me the fuck alone. This guy don't get it though, does he? That fucking RV right there. Fucking chime, oh goddamn piece of shit. I've got a bunch of audio recordings with him. His name's in there somewhere, but I can't exactly go into the library right now and that stuff, which sucks. Alright, I took screenshots so I know what video it is. See if this is it. Alright, there's one from 3 hours ago. Oh, here it is. 2 witnesses to a pervert in the Hood River. You guys remember I was telling you about the youngins that rescued me from the man who was trying to assault me in the McDonald's, and how if it hadn't been for them, he would have assaulted me. These are the
Logan
same
and
folks
Shayna.
that have been
Logan Bishop and his girlfriend
up
Shayna.
there. And there's a few other encounters that they've had with that man since that I...
She is a very, very tiny blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl. Like, yeah, this dude is fucking creepazoid as all hell.
I think are important, and they felt were important enough to tell me. So if they want their faces on camera, they can point the camera, at themselves. If not, they can point it up to the sky. But I'm going to give the young lady the camera first, because I feel that, you're more likely to listen to her. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to.
I don't want to.
Now, if it says rotate like it does right now,
yeah,
then it means that it's not. There you go.
Okay.
She didn't want to, she didn't get it.
Point it up the street or down the street.
Hello. So, oops. Okay. So, one time I was hanging out with the old guy, and we were talking about, I was trying to maybe set him up with, this girl I knew, jokingly, and she was, 26, 27, and we started talking about my cat, and then he asked me how old she was, so I thought he was talking about my cat, and I said that she was 15, 16, and he's like, oh, that's perfect, and I was like, what do you mean, because I thought we were talking about my cat, and then I realized he was talking about the girl, and I said, no, she's 26, and then he's like, oh, that's perfect, anyways, but that was really messed up. And then he got banned from this pool here because he was perving on little kids. So he's not allowed at the pool anymore. He's just really messed up.
Yeah. Alright, so that's just one of the situations with him. And of course, the young man who's with me, he's also, well, like I said, not all of my heroes are a bunch of rich people, and the things that both of these youngins have done, not only to help to clean up the community, but also to look out for one another, and also to look out for a complete and total stranger, with a beard, that being me. If they hadn't stepped forward when they did in McDonald's, there would have been a physical altercation, and they rescued me from that. Just like the people that worked down at the Astro. You guys got to hear on multiple occasions when I was getting messed with, people there spoke up. And it's important to do that. It's important to work together, and it's important to make people aware. Now, I was going to let the young man here do the same thing. If you turn it to the side like this, it'll say rotate device. So when it does the rotate device thing, it's not recording, it's just being a pain. So usually what I'll do is I'll point it up at an angle like this, or I'll point it, up the street or some other direction. That way this part's facing up.
Okay.
Here you go.
He just points it right at himself.
Hi, my name is Logan Bishop, and I can confirm that Shayna's story is true. And these claims are not to be taken lightly. He is definitely a very creepy
Also,
man.
one time he bought some marijuana, and he wasn't letting Logan or I touch it. And then all of a sudden, he's like, "Can you fill this cone for me?" And I was like, "Okay." And I did it, and then I gave it to him. He's like, "No."
Now, one common tactic is for that old guy, he's got to try to separate the victim from any friends or family they have. That's called social isolation. When she's on the street and it's just her, that's even more scary. Thank goodness she's got Logan. So the old guy was trying to send Logan on errands and have him leave Shayna there. And there was another situation with a couple other folks that was very similar, where he was willing to get them or pay for them to have drugs or alcohol, but of course he had to leave this 17-year-old there, not Logan and Shayna, but this other guy. Anyway, these situations happen all over the United States. A lot of people do specifically prey on homeless men and women, and Logan and Shayna were definitely homeless. They were living out of their vehicle in a parking lot, same as I was. That was in Hood River.
I don't want it. I want you to smoke it. And I was like, "Why?" Oh no, it stopped recording. Wait. Anyways, so he wanted me to fill the cone. And I filled up the cone for him, and I gave it to him, and he said, "No, I want you to smoke it." And I was like, "Why?" And he said, "To get me in the mood." And I was like, "What? For what?" And then he winked and got all weird, and so I just took it and smoked it with my boyfriend. It was really messed up. Alright, here you go.
Absolutely.
Doesn't
I
look
wasn't
very
trying to
heavy.
cut you off either.
Yeah.
I don't mean that to be a jerk. I mean
Both
that
of you guys
is
have
the old
done
man's
great
preference.
things. And that's one of the things that I want to impress upon you out here is that
The thing about the 17-year-old is that she looked a very young 17-year-old. His preference is obviously blondes. It's obviously blue eyes. It's obviously short people. And it's obviously people who are on the streets or extremely poor and hanging out with some very, very shady characters. I don't like this guy following me around, but on the bright side, better me than Logan and Shayna. He also shows the point and proves the point of mobility with predators. See, the thing with many of my predators before Natalie was killed, I was good to everybody. People who were predatory towards me, it was always, prior to that, out of desperation. The situation with that old guy and all the things that he's been doing. I already tried speaking with Officer Garcia about it. I also tried speaking with multiple officers there in Hood River about it. There were multiple people who were victimized. He also It's recorded on my channel, him screaming racial slurs at me and shit, calling me the N-word. Thinks it's hilarious. When I first met the guy, I tried to believe him, tried to believe he was a veteran, tried to believe that he was disabled and he was trying to get help. He said he was going to the services and that they weren't working. He kind of seemed a little off kilter, but he seemed completely sane. Turns out he's a conniving old man. He's not crazy in the least bit. He knows exactly what he's doing, and it is calculated. The number of times he's come by to honk his fucking horn at me just to show me that he's there. It also shows that when police and mental health workers and hospitals don't do their job as mandated reporters when it comes to an at-risk adult, it shows that having to go public with it, which is the only thing to do at that point, just allows the predators the privilege of being turned in. If they're transient, it allows them to move on. If they're police officers, it allows them to press false charges or to coordinate with the predators in order to shut the victim down. In Chapel, Nebraska, a lot of the people that are in jail for doing the things they did to me, except they did them to someone else. Nobody cared that those things were done to me. They only cared when it was somebody else that was a victim. And the unfortunate fact of that is that if people had listened to me first, if they had listened to me about Will and Lolatai, we wouldn't have had Zayd Atkinson or that situation. We wouldn't have had the Samuel Leon Lawrence IV situation. We wouldn't have had the Kelly Clark situation. We wouldn't have had any of those situations. The older police needed to be put in check because they do those things to the homeless, but you ignored the homeless people it happened to. The news spoke up about multiple people it happened to, but the ones people cared about the most, because it was popular, were the black college students. They got treated like they were homeless. That's a fact. Both of them were engaging in activities that are commonly practiced by the homeless. You have no idea how many homeless people are picking up garbage right now just because it's in the area that they're hanging out in, and it's disgusting and unsightly. You have no idea how many homeless people have a little grabber and a bucket and are literally picking up trash just because it's the right thing to do. I gotta do another episode of Rockets in Ukraine. This one's gonna be on the RPG-7. That's the one that most Americans are probably the most familiar with from the movies. A lot of people downplay the Panzerfaust, but there was some stuff from the Battle of Berlin where the Russian soldiers were talking about being next to a tank when like 20 to 25 of these things just flew off people's rooftops and out of front yards and out of the bushes and shit all at once at them. It'd be some scary shit, and it would be insane to be the survivor of that, to see all that carnage. That guy has a really old golden retriever. Really old. Well, it looks like a golden retriever lab mix. I don't know if it's his name that's Murphy or if that's his dog's name. I think it's his dog's name because I remember people's dogs' names before I remember theirs. Having stalkers sucks. Having stalkers that go unchecked sucks even worse, and it allows those predators to get away, and it allows them to do it to other people. Allowing that pervert to get away in Hood River allows him to come down here to Tillamook and to do this shit to people here in Tillamook. Thank goodness he's got a vendetta against me for speaking up and also for going and talking to witnesses and recording it. A lot of people talk to me about how they would go shoot somebody for doing something like that. Well, none of them are shooting these predators. I didn't say I'd shoot them. I said that I would try to turn them in, and I have, over and over again. But you can't make me do it alone, or they're going to prey on the mentally ill tag, both my predators as well as police, any other government organization, because they're all complaining that they're overwhelmed right now. They got too many clients. From the mental health system to the jails and prisons to the hospitals, people out on the streets are being thrown away. Let me stretch my shoulder a bit. I might snap, crackle, and pop, but I'm trying to make sure that I keep everything moving, because if I don't, it stiffens up. It's scary having stalkers, and I've had to deal with this for a long time. People don't like it when you tell on them. When those people have badges, they have specific avenues that they can go through in order to commit crimes against you. And if they can call you mentally ill, which is implied now, it's just implied that if you're homeless, you must be mentally ill and therefore a predator of some sort. You must be a druggie of some sort. But then you get to see how many crimes are committed by the homeless of the murder sort, and you get to see that even the ones that are convicted, most of them don't have anything more than circumstantial evidence. You need a lot more evidence to convict anybody else in the United States. If the person is homeless, the police everywhere in America know that they can point the finger in the direction of a homeless person. But it's not just the police. Anyone can do this. There's homeless people that have come up to me and said, "Hey dude, I don't know what to do." Some guy come up to me and told me that he would pay me all this money or pay it to my family if I said I killed somebody. That's some weird shit to hear. Being at the bus station, the Greyhound station in Los Angeles, that was scary too. A lot of drug addicts there. A lot of them. A lot of homeless people, a lot of families with children that are homeless there. A shit ton of them. People come up to me with sores on their arms that have disgusting lesions from injecting stuff that they shouldn't be injecting into their body. Plus, they're living in unclean conditions doing this. Unsanitary conditions. What do when they catch a pedophile down there on Skid Row in Los Angeles? They cut him up and they stuff him down the storm drain. Why is it that you should only make that claim if it's absolutely true? Because somebody might get stuffed down a goddamn storm drain. Plus, we got a lot of people who I don't know, there's a movie, I guess it's called like American Psycho or something. It's where Batman goes after a bunch of homeless people for being homeless and just mercilessly murders them. As well as women. Who are they most likely to go after? Is it high-class women? No, it's broke women. It's women on the streets. It's women like Shayna, who's legally an adult, but she's so tiny. And Logan keeps her safe. Even though they argue, he keeps her safe. And thank goodness she has that. And thank goodness he has that. But they're also both prone to being victimized and separated by police. Bullied, threatened, harassed, and intimidated. When I met them, they were only interested in getting jobs and getting unhomeless. Or getting to somewhere safe. When I first started this video, it's for the same reason as many times. He drives by and he honks, and he waves, makes sure that I see that he's there, make sure he drives as slowly as possible, letting me know he can do whatever the fuck he wants whenever the fuck he wants to. Ain't none of these cops gonna do a goddamn thing. They don't care about me. I'm fucking homeless. Well, you know what? Fuck you. With situations like that Officer Reeves and the things that he did, that's fucking horrible. It's abhorrent. And the stuff that Officer Loftman was doing, we can't be having that. That makes everyone look bad. I'm in Tillamook, Oregon. I'm over 100 miles away from Hood River. Over 100 miles away. The guy followed me all the way here. He makes sure that he parks where he can see me. He makes sure that he pulls into wherever I'm at to honk his horn and let me know exactly where he's at, what he's doing. And he does watch my channel. He's told me that before, too. He drives by, honks his horn. He smiles real big at me sometime, too. That's real pleasant. He's mad at me, and I understand why. He shouldn't have been perving, not on Shayna or anybody else. Trying to get Shayna fucked up so he can take advantage of her, not fucking okay. Trying to separate her from Logan so that he can take advantage of her, also not fucking okay. Logan was under the impression at one point that he thought somebody was trying to sabotage his vehicle. I was like, well, I told him I got video equipment, audio equipment. They wouldn't set it up. Instead, they ended up teaching me how to play a Pokemon card game. That's also on my channel. And we talk about the old guy during those conversations. In some of it, I've got multiple videos where I do say my stalker from Hood River. There's also a lot of videos where I call him the old guy or the creepy old guy. This dude's fucking creepy. Like, way creepy. Anyway, his... that video, the guy who was just driving by in that RV, the video that I was just playing is on my channel. It's called Two Witnesses to a Perver in Hood River. Perver. P-E-R-V-E-R. No T. Perver. Let's see if it'll read it. Two Witnesses to a Perver in Hood River. Sean David. It's after 2. I suppose I should hang up on you and try to get a hold of Eli. Let's see if this is it. Alright, good. Stalker from Hood River. His license plate on that thing is HD 44648. This one right here from a month ago is called My Stalker from Hood River, period, Murphy, in quotes, Oregon plate number HD 44648. Logan and Shayna dealt with it too.
HD 44648.
It's a month ago, this very parking lot.
The type of camper he's got is called a dolphin. It's parked pretty crooked.
He parks so he can point his vehicle at me and fucking stare at me out of his vehicle. It's fucking creepy. I'm fucking sick of this shit. Again, his plate number is HD 44648. Oregon plates. He changed his plates over from the ones that he had last year.
HD 44648. Toyota. Logan and Shayna both speak about this guy. What he was trying to do with Shayna.
Multiple recordings too.
Right now I don't exactly have anywhere I can go. I got sticker bushes in that direction. Curb, fence, curb. Stuff's not easy to walk through. You guys are just gonna sit there staring.
Basically, the only route that I had to get out of the parking lot was through the direction he was parked in. At one point in here, he drives by and creeps super fucking slow. Like he did
Predators
today.
don't like it when you tell them. Again,
This guy's
the type
operating
of RV it is. It's a
across
dolphin.
multiple jurisdictions.
Toyota. Oregon license plate number HD 44648. Again, Oregon license plate HD 44648. Again, Oregon license plate HD 44648. I don't know if it's his name that's Murphy or his dog's name that's Murphy. I think it's his dog's name.
There he is, creeping super fucking slow. I've got footage of him in Tillamook National
Again,
Forest.
Oregon plate HD 44648.
Several rest areas. He didn't like that he was told on. It's fucking creepy. And nobody helps me to turn it in. And I have to be afraid to try to turn it in myself because of the corruption of police officers nationwide. Because if one of their own does something wrong, and you have to try to tell on them, and you're forced to do it alone, because you have no real friends. You have to try to turn it in alone. And what does that do? It only entices them to do it as well. Oh, well, there's no reason that this officer should lose his job for standard procedure against a homeless person when it's a homeless person. It's only wrong if it happens to a black person or a woman. But, of course, you can still do it as long as that black person or woman is a homeless person, because homeless people aren't real people. That's the way we're projected by the news. That's the way that we're projected by the media, social media included. That's how we are projected in the courts. Projected as crazy lunatics, all on drugs. And then we give incentives to people who really want to grab your money, who want to get that government tax dollar money. And they get more if they help out people who are quote unquote addicts. So you got to be an addict to get their help. Or they start looking for excuses right away for not doing their jobs. Meanwhile, the most important of these jobs is their jobs as mandated reporters. If they don't do their jobs as mandated reporters, it results in disabled people being killed. It results in homeless and vulnerable adults being killed. And this happens every single day. Statistically, the United States police killed 1.2 homeless people every single day of last year. 1.2. The homeless population of around 600,000. Then we got homeless predators like him. And then we got people like me who speak up no matter who the predator is. I got to hear some not so pleasant stuff about Dallas Palmer last night. Because it was a minor that told me, I am inclined to believe that I should probably do something, but what am I to do when the police don't listen to me? They'll only listen to you. To them, I must be a serial killer, a rapist, or somebody who chose this. Like many of you believe. You can tell a lot about society by the most easy to victimize within it. And by how those in power treat them. But also, you have to keep in mind that many people consider themselves greater or more powerful than someone they deem as mentally ill. You must know better than them for a situation they were there for and you weren't. You must know better than them because they're mentally ill. And that tag gets so many people killed and taken advantage of the way that Dean was taken advantage of by law enforcement in Hood River and many others as well. Daniel thanked me for saving his life. He said that at the hospital they told him if I hadn't called it in, he would have bled to death. One of the EMTs told me that later on, and so did one of the firemen. That meant a lot, actually. Whereas the police officer told me thank you for saving his leg. That fella in that RV, there was at least 7 occasions altogether, just between Hood River, just on the trip here to Tillamook from Hood River. 4 different rest areas. I even had to turn around and go the other direction. But I always say where I'm at, just in case one of my predators ends up getting themselves killed. That happens. Natalie Bollinger was predatory towards me, and she's dead now. Ryan Ingersoll was predatory towards me, and she's dead now too. Christine Buhi was predatory towards me, and she's also dead. Now, although a lot of these people didn't intend on being predatory to begin with, the fact is that between embarrassment and telling the truth, well, they didn't want embarrassment, so they weren't going to tell the truth. They didn't want people to think less of them or to think that they're less perfect than they try to project themselves to be. Obviously, I'm real antsy about the situation because that guy is just steadily increasing his bullshit. I had issues with him around 4th of July, and the first opportunity I got to get out of town, I did. I even stayed gone a few days. And I got to deal with some victimization in Astoria and Warrenton at the hands of the mental health services there, as well as the local police department and local homeless population. Although most of the homeless population there were nice to me. There was a lot of people that were nice to me. When a homeless person, especially a homeless male who's autistic, we're automatically assumed to be guilty no matter what. Because we're autistic, we must be quote-unquote retarded. That's how we're treated. You don't have to use the words to show the actions. Now you guys can go back and listen to some of the stuff a year ago. Back from a year ago to about a year and a half ago. With Murphy there, and Logan there, and Shayna there, and many of these conversations. Me talking about the situation, the recordings I was able to make, and the fact that I don't have the ability to keep running around all these places I'm told to go to for them to do nothing. But they're all getting paid for doing nothing, and they're getting paid your tax dollars. Meanwhile, you tell me that you can't help me because you're broke. The government says, hey, we'll do these services the family used to do. You guys just keep working. You pay us and we'll take care of it. And those of you who are dumb enough to believe that are the reason that those of us who are being victimized are not helped by the government, not helped by your tax dollars. We're sent around in circles to therapy. Therapy means that the therapist gets paid, the therapist gets to eat, the therapist gets to go home, the therapist gets to go to sleep, the therapist gets to shower every day. The therapist doesn't have to travel miles and miles and miles in between each of those places. Doesn't have to worry about the police over their shoulder every moment. Doesn't have to worry about homeless tweakers and homeless meth addicts, homeless gackers. They don't have to worry about the blues in their household. Because the money that is supposed to go to helping people who are the easiest people in the country to take advantage of, that money's all going to therapy. How about the homeless? That's going to therapy too. So if you're disabled and homeless, that's 2 strikes against you. And being a male, that pretty much guarantees you're going to get blown off. I'm physically exhausted, I'm mentally exhausted, and that tobacco's making me sick. The thought of that feller harming somebody and nobody's gonna help me to turn that in just makes me sick. I do want to say how thankful that I am for Cynthia at the Safeway. Her and the members of her family that I've met have been kind to me, and they have been protective of me. And I don't feel as if any harm is going to come to me while they're around. I don't believe that they would allow it to happen. I think they would do the right thing immediately and step up and speak up and say no. No means no. It means leave them alone. It means stop. There was a gas station in Hood River called the Astro. There's a lady there, her name is Tara, and she protected me from multiple situations where I was very much at risk and going to be victimized if she hadn't been there. There's also multiple situations with a creeper there who wouldn't leave a 14-year-old girl alone. And Tara was there to be protective there as well. Thank goodness. People use the blues. These are little blue pills that they light up on a foilie like it's meth. They do something that's called popping it. It's opiates, right? So one of the things they do is they'll take some fentanyl. If they don't like you, they'll put a bunch of fentanyl in it. Looks just like the other pills, it's just a lot more potent. And there's a lot of other stuff that they can do with it. Also, fentanyl just got grossly and enormously cheap. People are dying of fentanyl overdoses that have never tried fentanyl. Some of them never tried heroin. Fentanyl is cheap enough and potent enough now that, yeah, that's one of the easiest ways to kill somebody now. It's easier to get enough fentanyl to kill somebody than it is to get a fucking bullet, for Christ's sake. You want a cheap firearm If you can get the FFL for it, you can get one for about $80. But you can kill somebody with $20 worth of fentanyl. If you want to buy a firearm black market, you're looking at $120. Hell, you might be able to trade your firearm for enough fentanyl to kill a bunch of people. Meth got super cheap too because everybody knows how to make it. It isn't just shows like Breaking Bad, it's also the fact that, well, you all know somebody you had a crush on in high school that turned into an addict. And you were hoping that if you did the drugs with them, you could have your friend back. Didn't work, did it? But you got to hang out with them because you did the drugs for a little bit with them. You got to see what they became. You got to see what they were willing to do to get the drugs. And you got to see that what you were missing out on was worth missing out on. It wasn't something that's a part of your life or that you want to be a part of your life. As much as you may want those people to come out of it, it has to be their choice. I'm in a lot of pain right now, and I'm real scared because of the situation with these stalkers. The thing that he's doing now is something that Tim Beeson and several other stalkers kept on doing. Making sure that their presence is known, just like the guy who makes the Fred Burner accounts and the Ted Turner accounts and the Ted Burner accounts, and he's got hundreds of accounts that he's made to harass me by now, just right here on this YouTube channel. And what do I do when I see them now? Hide user on this channel. That is so easy to do. That guy's got an RV. There's kids that play in this parking lot. How quickly? I want you to stop. Any of you who have watched the videos with Ryan Ingersoll or about the situation with Ryan Ingersoll, we were in a traveling RV park. Like, basically campers stop there seasonally, or, you're trying to go on vacation and you're going to go fishing in sunny California in your RV, and you're going to drive there from Pennsylvania or wherever you happen to be. This is just some podunk fucking stop in the middle of goddamn Rawlins, Wyoming. And Ryan Ingersoll was perpetually drunk. She was maybe 98 pounds soaking wet. She was going through an entire 175 of Captain Morgan's or the like every single day. She was hitting 2 little girls there, and I made 3 anonymous calls. Then I made 3 calls that I did live on YouTube to make sure that it was shown that I was trying to do the right thing, and that didn't even work. I had to literally take garbage bags out of the garbage cans at the Tiger Mart in Rawlins, Wyoming, where Ryan worked, and put them on the ground and throw a coffee cup and $7 at the floor. That's what got the cops to actually take it seriously. And don't get me wrong, they'd been out to the camper 3 different times because other people were calling it in too. But they were saying that those girls weren't being fed, and that's not the truth. So a grand total of at least 9 phone calls to law enforcement about the abuse. And I literally had to break the law to get them to listen. Rana admitted that she did the shit that she did because she was angry. She was mad. Of course she was mad. I told the truth. She didn't like it. She was angry because she didn't have her boys. Well, now her boys get to grow up without a mother. Rihanna Ingersoll was related to Robert Franklin Mornick through marriage. Robert Franklin Mornick, as many of you may know, is one of my predators from Nebraska. He's also a registered sex offender. Anyway, I'm gonna end this video because I gotta get a hold of somebody and try to turn in some bad officers here in Tillamook, Oregon. Also, I gotta try to turn in that Murphy feller. I mean, there's a house right next to where I park. The guy who lives there has spoken with me. He's also got kids. The RV park that we were in, and Rihanna being as drunk as she was, and those two girls, Amy Kalina Kingery's daughters, that Rihanna was supposed to be watching. They could have been abducted at any point in time, and we were telling them how dangerous it is. That they needed to not just run off and fuck around wherever they wanted to and not let us know where they were, because we had to worry sick about them. With Rihanna abusing him, it made it an even more scary situation for me. I'd known Rihanna over 20 years. When she was hurting those kids, it didn't matter how long I knew her. You don't do that shit. That guy in the Dolphin RV there, liking short, blonde-haired, blue-eyed girls like Shayna. That won't pick up a target of opportunity. I don't think it's okay that that man for the last year could have done some pretty goddamn horrible stuff, and given his habits, well, yeah, he probably is doing some pretty horrible stuff. Please help me stop predators like this man. Please.